Welcome to the first episode of Conversations at Rishihood. Today we have Dr. Patrick McNamara from University of Nebraska, Omaha. Patrick is a keen observer of India since 1991. He's an American academic, a conflict resolution expert, and a proud father of two daughters. Welcome, Patrick. Okay, I'm Sanjeev Kumar. I'm the Dean of Rashtram School of Public Leadership at Rishihood University. Today we have Dr. Patrick McNamara from University of Nebraska, Omaha. Patrick is a conflict resolution expert and a proud father of two daughters.
Yes, I am.
What's their name, Patrick?
Alana is my older daughter. Leora is my younger daughter.
That's wonderful. Patrick has been talking about them since he has arrived here. Patrick was invited here to conduct a boot camp on civic leadership.
Yes.
And Patrick had been coming to India since 1991.
That's right.
He has been a keen observer of transition that India has gone through since 1991.
A lot of changes since 1991.
So we'd love to hear from you. What are the changes that you have witnessed and where you think India is going?
Oh, so many changes since 1991. I'll talk a little bit about three things that I've seen and then maybe envision the future. So one is how many people have gone from poverty to middle class. It is an economic miracle that has happened since then Finance Minister Manmohan Singh opened up the economy, and the trajectory of the Indian economy has just been miraculous. Secondly, the infrastructure and building that I've seen such a change. Since 1991, it is not the same India in terms of the built environment. And number three, which I think is in many ways more important than economic and infrastructure, is the self-confidence of the Indian people. It used to be, I think, that Indians saw themselves in a third world sort of a way. Now, India is a proud leader of the world. And to me, it is that self-confidence that is going to take India into the next chapter. Already, it's the most populous country in the world. It's just passed China earlier this year, 2023, as the most populous country. It is going to grow in economic power, and it is also going to grow in terms of its influence, soft power in the world as well. So I see the rise of India being incredible in the next decade.
So that has been my observation too, Patrick. I have been away from India for the last 23 years.
Right.
Last year I came back.
In the U.S.
In the U.S., last year I came back here. And it has been an amazing journey so far. And I feel without getting India right, it will be very difficult for us to ensure human flourishing on this earth.
Agreed. We're talking about something like 1/5 of the world's population,
1/5 of the world's
right?
population.
Here in India. And if India is left behind, the world is left behind, indeed.
Yes, absolutely. So my stay in America facilitated my understanding of India. It sounds a little paradoxical, but that's true. And coming back to India, I would like you to share some of the aspect that attracted you to India. The work that you have been doing here since almost 32 years.
I'm glad to, and then I'm going to ask you the same question coming back as well. I think there is, first of all, friendships. In India, I find that it's the people are very emotional, and once you get attached to an Indian friend or family, it is a lifelong friendship. I have those types of friendships with some people here in India that are unparalleled in anywhere in the world. I also think that there is a spiritual quality.
So Patrick, you have been coming here to India since 1991.
Yes.
What's about India that keeps bringing you back?
Well, I'm going to ask you the same question after I answer that, but the answer is I have deep friendships. And for me, the Indian people are generally very emotional. And once you get attached to an Indian individual or family, it's like you become lifelong friends. And I have some of those lifelong friends right here in India. Second, I think that there's a spiritual sensibility about India. And for those of us who are people of faith, I think it speaks to us on a deeper level than just the surface, right? India has a rich history, culture, spirituality that really attracts me and brings me back. Third, there's a complexity about India, the diversity of India from north to south, from east to west, such incredible diversity of geography, of cuisine, of culture, of language, and that really attracts me. If it was just one-dimensional, I wouldn't be so attracted by it, but I really live into that complexity. I'm going to ask you the same question, Sanjeev. What brings you back after 21 years? Or 23 years?
23 years.
Right.
So I left India in 1999 for my graduate studies to the US.
Yes.
And then I stayed back. There I found probably the most intense love that a human mind can imagine in the US. And at one point I thought I will make US my home. Though I'm an American citizen now, but I decided to come back to India because I felt without getting India right, it's very difficult for us to ensure human flourishing on this earth.
True.
Because some of the samskara, some of the predilections and propensities that Indian culture foster, that is needed in the kind of world that, the kind of challenges to address the challenges that we are facing.
Correct.
So that's what brought me back to India, that how we can leverage that to first improve the quality of life in India, and then to contribute, as you were alluding to earlier, that the potential of India is humongous.
What did you learn in the United States that you have brought back and applied in this chapter of your life in India?
So I think I mentioned that earlier. It sounds a little paradoxical, but it's my stay in the US that facilitated my understanding of India.
Interesting.
And the kind of panoramic view that America allowed me to have of the world, the access to resources that I had there was every day I used to feel blessed being there. And so I came back to India with a deeper and richer understanding of India.
Right.
So yeah, that was an amazing experience. And I'm hoping that I become the bridge between India and America going forward.
I hope you do too. I too see myself as a bridge. True. I was just wonderfully honored by the Nebraska Vedic Society being given a Bridge Builder Award on the 75th anniversary of the independence of India last year. And so I see myself, and some others see me, as a bridge builder between the U.S. and India. I actually led a program out of the U.S. Embassy in New Delhi it was called Partnership 2020, U.S.-India Higher Education Cooperation. And it was to build bridges between universities in the U.S. and universities in India. It was an extraordinary project, $2 million initiative that really began to build some of those bridges, or build them stronger.
So I feel like one of the institutions in the U.S. that is going to keep U.S. as one of the most powerful countries in the world is institution of higher education.
Yes.
So, since you have a very broad interface with institution of higher learning in India as well as in the U.S.,
True.
What do you think are some of the similarities and differences that we should share with our audience here?
I think that there is a tradition of the guru-disciple relationship in India that has translated to a teacher-student relationship. And so I really see the students in India being much more respectful of their teachers, really holding them with some reverence. We don't have that same sort of relationship with our teachers in America. I think that we can learn something from India. In general, I actually think that there's a lot to learn from India, and we have about 2 lakh students coming from India to the U.S. every year, and only about 5,000 students coming from the U.S. to India every year. This is before the pandemic, these numbers. I would like to see lakhs of Americans coming to India to learn from what you have to offer here in India. And I'm not just talking about the classroom learning. I'm really talking about the cultural learning, about the business environment, society, the way that people are engaged. I've led a study abroad program, so I brought American students to India, and they always walk away not just with the content, but also with the impression that they have almost fallen in love with India. Let me tell you a brief story about that. One of my students who came with me to India ended up falling in love with Indian culture. Well, when she went back, she started going to a cricket game that was a bunch of Indians in Omaha. Were playing cricket every weekend. She ended up meeting a boy there and falling in love with him.
The Indian boy?
An Indian boy. They ended up marrying.
Oh, wow.
They opened up a restaurant that is now the top-selling Indian restaurant in all of Omaha, and they now have a baby daughter. They invited me to come to their restaurant. I was holding their daughter, and this woman said to me, Patrick, if I hadn't come to India with you, I would have never fallen in love with the Indian culture. I would have never fallen in love with this man, and I would never have the baby that you are holding in your arms, and I would never have this restaurant that is now our lives.
That's wonderful. So that's one of the projects that I'm working on, is how to increase the interface of American students to Indian culture and society.
Great.
Because India being the 1/5 of humanity, and the kind of experiences that it can offer.
What do you think Rishihood could offer to American students coming?
So one, here we are designing our courses that are civilizationally rooted. So as you might have noticed, many Indian students, they are not aware about their own heritage. So that's one of the challenges that we have taken on ourselves. And so if American students will come into Rishihood, they will have an authentic experience of Indian tradition.
Yes.
And also we can curate some of the experience. Given my experience in America, we can have a curated program for American students.
Can I make one suggestion about that? And this is something you might take to the Rishihood administration here. But I come from a family of artists, dancers, musicians. Both of my daughters one daughter is a dancer, one daughter is a viola player.
With theoretical mathematics.
Exactly. She's also a theoretical mathematics major. But I wonder if you can bring more of that culture of music, culture of classical Indian dance to Rishihood, because I think that there's a missing element right now that could really be enhanced and make this an even more culturally rich experience, not only for visitors, but also for the students that we already have here at Rishihood University.
Yes. So recently we had a faculty from Bangalore, and he taught Indian classical music and violin. Some of the students learn how to play violin. So we are very, very actively thinking about bringing that aspect into our curriculum.
I'm so glad to hear that. Good.
Yes, and so that's what are the similarities that you see between American Institute of Higher Education and Indian Institute of Higher Education?
There are research facilities in both countries that are doing collaborative research on some cutting-edge issues. I'm talking about AI. I'm talking about water safety. I'm talking about different aspects of GIS mapping, flood mapping and such. I could name a bunch of projects that are in these realms. But the idea that we have top scientists in both of our countries that are doing cutting-edge research on the most important aspects of the world right now, clean energy being one of them. I think that is one aspect that is already happening, and I would like to see enhanced even more.
Yeah, so in India is at a position where while it is growing, it cannot impose a lot of demand on environment. Already we are living in a environment which is really damaged.
Right.
So India has to chalk its own unique path.
True.
So these kind of scientific collaboration are super, super important.
True.
For India to have its own idiosyncratic path to grow.
Agreed. And I think that it doesn't just go that way. I also think that there are value adds that India brings to the United States.
Absolutely.
So you already see, and you were one of them, right? Some of the top academics, some of the top business people, some of the top doctors or engineers or lawyers are of Indian origin. Exactly. So NRIs are already, the diaspora is very important to the next generation of what America is trying to do as well.
Yeah, and they have started to play a very constructive role in development of India.
Yeah,
you know?
I'll also say, and I don't want to get into politics here, but I will say that Narendra Modi has been great for brand India. That is, promoting the Indian ink and promoting the even soft power of India. I think Modi has done a great job of doing that ambassadorship around the world.
Yeah, the number of countries that it travels to,
incredible,
taking messages of India,
incredible.
It's quite impressive.
It is indeed.
Yeah. So this boot camp that we organize here on Civic Leadership. So we are that's part of public leadership curriculum, and the motivation for that boot camp was to share your experience with the students here while we create a blueprint for the transformation of Sonipat city into the healthiest and culturally most vibrant city in the country.
Excellent.
So could you please talk about what is it about America that it ended up having such a strong tradition of civic leadership, and what we can learn from that when we embark on this task in Sonipat?
Well, I'm going to go back a little bit in history now and talk about Alexis de Tocqueville. Tocqueville came in the 1800s, early 1800s, 1820, 1830, and observed what he saw in the early United States as associations, that is, civic bodies. This is outside of government, right? But civic bodies that were giving back to society and connected in relationships of trust at the local level. Fast forward to research done in the 20th century and early 21st century by a man named Robert Putnam. He wrote a book called Bowling Alone. Bowling Alone was, he was talking about, we used to bowl in leagues, and now we are bowling alone. The disintegration, the decline of social capital and relationships of trust that exist. So as those relationships of trust are beginning to fray in the United States, I think that unfortunately that is portending a decline in much of the United States history of civic association. Now, in India, you know this better than I do, but I see a lot of relationships of trust that exist at the local level. When you're looking at the village or gram level, you still have those connections in very real ways. I hope that as India continues to develop economically, you do not ape the West and give into the materialism that I think is rife in so much of Western society, including the United States. That materialism and individualistic thinking can sometimes fray the social fabric of society. And as those relationships of trust disintegrate, it is unfortunately going to decline in the ultimate, sort of societal identity. I hope that India does not go down that road as economic development continues.
Yeah, same here. So one of the observations that I had made during my stay in the US was the sense of ownership that Americans take when it comes to their local issues.
Yes.
So that has been kind of very active question in my mind that what we can do in India where Indians can take ownership of their cities.
Right.
Right. So so we have launched a project here called Historical Rootedness and Civic Awareness. And so that I'm hoping that what you are suggesting, that India should not lose its social capital and the relationship of trust in the process of growth.
Yes.
we are hoping to protect that social capital by first learning what is happening in Sonipat,
Right.
and identifying the pressure points that we can work on to keep that relational capital intact.
Very good. I will be hoping and praying that Rishihood is successful in that, because not only your university, but Sonipat community is going to be affected positively by that sort of engagement. I want to say one thing about sort of the general American society. I think that we are divided right now, whether that's, Republican and Democrat politically, or, black and white racially. I could talk about a lot of different divisions in America. But what I see still at the local level, at the very community neighborhood level, is you still have those relationships of trust. Even when you have diversity, you still have those relationships of trust. I'm thinking about my own neighborhood and how we get together and hang out and, just have conversations, and we've watched each other's kids grow up, and, there's a real sense of community there. And that, I think, is something that you still have here in India, and that you can enhance through this project, is the community connections. And I think it's important that your students and you don't come in with an expert view. That is, we have all the answers. Oh, we're the university. We have all the answers. Let us tell you what to do, Sonipat community. You really have to go in with listening ears and be able to say, sit down with the people, have a cup of chai, listen to them, truly listen to them. And only then can you begin to learn what not only the issues and problems are, but also what are the assets? What are the positive things that can be built upon in Sonipat, and really strengthen those? Don't just try to deal with the weaknesses, but strengthen the strengths.
So this project that we are launching, we already have launched on what will it take for us to understand Sonipat in a way that we can help in the transformation of this this city. And that's where I feel if we can start getting some American students to work on that project in future, because this is going to be a long run project, it will be wonderful, because then we will have a very nuanced understanding of the city from eyes that untrained eyes looking at Sonipat,
right,
and helping us understand that. But coming to this local neighborhood, local economy aspect, one person that keeps cropping my head is David Henry Thoreau. And after I have come back, I realized that not many Indians they know about this American personality, who is the father of American environmentalism.
Right. And from whom Gandhiji got a lot of the ideas of civil disobedience as well. Correct.
Disobedience. So I was thinking maybe it would be a nice project to launch some Thoreau's cabin.
This idea of Walden Pond.
So the kind of giving an immersive experience to students.
Good.
And that way, many people just know about the raw power of America or other soft power, with like McDonald's and. But we
unfortunately, our greatest export is McDonald's.
But we can also project someone like David Henry Thoreau and help all get acquainted with them.
Why not? That's great.
So we should talk about what we can do to bring Henry David Thoreau to Indian population here.
Yeah. That's a great idea.
Take and how people will respond to that.
Why not try it and see, right? That's the way experiments happen. That's great.
Maybe we can suggest American Embassy to create one replica of.
You could always suggest that. I don't know what the U.S. Embassy is going to think, but you can always suggest that. Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
So this was wonderful talking
oh,
with
my
you,
pleasure. Thank you.
Patrick, and we are hoping that you will keep coming to Rishihood.
Why not?
And help us with this civic leadership and public.
Thank you for your civic leadership, not only here at Rishihood, but I love that you are looking at engagement in the Sonipat community. We often say town and gown, right? This divide between a campus and a community, and you're trying to bridge that divide. And I think that's what great civic leaders do, is build bridges, not walls. Thank you for what you're doing right here in this great community of Rishihood, Sonipat, and may it all come to fruition.
And thank you for sharing your experience with Rishihood community.
Pleasure and an honor.
Hoping to see you soon here again.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sanjeev.